Hi, this is Yolanda Van Veen from VanVeenBulbs.com, and in this segment we're going to talk about how to care for a canna plant. So in order to know how to care for a canna plant, let's figure out where it's native. So cannas are native to Mexico. They're found along the beaches to the mountainside. So they can handle colder climates. They survive the Northwest most winters. I lost a few this last winter because it got down to 15 degrees and I didn't mulch them good enough. But most years they make it. And they're really an easy plant to care for as long as you try to recreate their conditions in their native area. What I've learned about cannas is they need a lot of water when they're growing. So they do really well right in a pond or even a dish with water so that they're wet all the time. But that's only when they're growing in the summer. If you live in a colder climate in the winter, you got to keep them really dry in the winter because they'll rot right out when they're not growing. So the trick with cannas is to keep them wet when they're growing and dry when they're dormant. And as long as you follow those rules, you'll never lose them. So as long as the foliage looks wonderful, leave them alone. But if the foliage looks ratty in any way, I give it a haircut. And as soon as they're done blooming, they make little seed pods. Now you can cut that right out, but why not save the seeds? So just by pulling these seed pods off and turn around and planting them back in the same container or in a different area, you will get lots more starts for the next year. Because cannas are really easy to start. But I'd like to take the seed pods off and then just cut the foliage. And my rule of thumb is if they look ratty in any way, cut them out, because cannas will keep growing foliage no matter what you do. They love haircuts. And so if these actually got pretty warm, we got 107 degrees weather and they weren't that wet, so they actually got a little bit of sunburn. So I just cut the bad leaves off. If there's just a little bit of brown on a leaf, you can just trim that part off as well. So they love to be trimmed. You can't trim them too much. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And cannas, as long as you keep them in a warm spot and mulch them real well if you live in a cold climate, or bring them into the garage and just leave them dry like a dahlia, they'll come back from year to year. And they have great foliage and they're a great addition to your garden.